So you're interested in learning everything there is to know about filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Missouri? Well, thankfully you've come to the right place. Let's get right into it. Welcome to the Ascend Finance YouTube channel, where we help folks understand the cost and qualification for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Missouri. We actually built a free Chapter 7 calculator so you can estimate the cost, qualification, and pros and cons of filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Missouri. Whether you're in a small town or a big city, it doesn't make a difference, as the Chapter 7 calculator will give you specific results based on your information and zip code. Today, I'm going to cover first, cost to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Missouri. Second, how to even qualify for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Missouri. And third, how are your assets protected if you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Missouri. At the end there, I'll try to help you answer the question of, should you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Missouri? Now, please remember though, this video is for informational purposes only and should not be construed at any point as legal advice. Now, I get it. You're probably researching a ton of stuff right now, so I'm gonna make this short and sweet and get right into the first thing. So, how much does it cost to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Missouri? When it comes to filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy, there are several factors an attorney may consider in estimating a total all-in estimate to file. To clarify though, here's what an attorney actually may look at when they're trying to determine how much they may charge someone. So first, they may look at the complexity of the case. Second, the urgency for that person to file. Third, the years of experience for that attorney. Fourth, the actual cash flow of the client. So sometimes attorneys may be a little bit more flexible if they don't have as much money to pay or the income's lower. And then 5, location. So I kind of want to further go into each one real quick so we can kind of explain them. So first, complexity of the case, right? So this generally is going to refer to whether or not you have any assets you protected when you file. So if the client ends up having assets, it may take the attorney longer to kind of get the petition ready. So for urgency to file, whether you may have to file bankruptcy within a few days or months, an attorney may charge more or less depending on how much time they have to get it ready. And then attorney's years of experience, right? So this is going to be a little bit more straightforward. So if an attorney's been filing bankruptcies for more than 10 years versus someone that just started a year ago, they may actually be able to charge a bit more, but it really depends. And then fourth, the cash flow of the individual filing. So sometimes they may charge a smaller fee as a courtesy. Still, the average fee is usually charged regardless of the client's cash flow. Now, finally, the location. So this is actually more relative state versus state, as actually some states may have an average Chapter 7 fee of, let's say, $2,000 versus another state with an average of $1,200. Okay, so before I move on to the next part about kind of qualifying for a Chapter 7, if you actually want to have an estimate for the total all-in cost, you can take our free Chapter 7 calculator below. You don't even have to add an email address to see the results. The idea is it gives you the cost, pros and cons, and whether you actually may qualify for a Chapter 7. Keep in mind, if you don't want to add any contact info, you can just select none of the above at the end, and you don't even have to add an email address. All right, so now let's dive in how to actually qualify for a Chapter 7. So there's going to be 3 main factors to understand when determining your ability to file Chapter 7. Income, expenses, assets. So those are going to be the 3 things I want you to remember when trying to understand qualification. So each state is going to have most likely an income limit set for your household size. So what that's going to be considered is the means test income limit. I'll actually put the income limit for the state on the screen, but keep in mind that the means test updates every so often. So that being said, taking our free calculator that's actually in the description can be helpful, as it's actually going to be most up to date with the means test data for estimating your qualification for Chapter 7. Alrighty, so now let's talk about expenses, as the means test has a couple of parts. The first part of the means test is mainly considering your gross income versus the income limit for the household size. Now, the second part generally considers your disposable income. Sometimes individuals may fail the first part of the means test by making too much money, but sometimes pass the second part because the court finds they may not actually have enough disposable income. And so when that's the case, you may find that you can qualify for a 7 even though you make more than the income limit. Now, finally, let's talk about how assets are actually really important to the Chapter 7 decision-making process. So although having assets may not impact your qualification, it may actually impact your decision to file. Almost every state has its own exemptions that filers can use. So they may want to utilize that to protect their assets from being liquidated. Now, the main assets I'd say that individuals are mainly concerned about are their home, or their cars. So let me kind of explain how that looks like it. Now, before I dive deeper into that and how they're all treated, I just wanted to say, like, if the video has ended up being helpful, or if you think it could be, a game changer for someone let's light up that like button below. It seems that YouTube tends to rank videos with more likes, and we like to think that our video can help those dealing with this kind of stressful topic. So let's make it go viral and create a positive impact. Now that we've covered how the assets may impact Chapter 7 from a high level, let's get into how it all works. So there are what I'll call the 2 E's that can help you estimate the risk of losing an asset when you're filing Chapter 7 in Missouri. The first E is equity. The second E is exemption. One of the most common assets folks are concerned about losing is their home. So let's use that for this example. Now, at the time of the video, I believe the estimated homestead exemption in Missouri is around $15,000 for single individuals who are under the age of 65, but I'll add a link in the description with an article that will have more information on the homestead exemption for Missouri. But let's say you have less equity than the estimated homestead of $15,000. Well, it could be protected if you file Chapter 7. And on the other hand, if you have $50,000 more than the homestead for Missouri, then it could be at risk of being sold during the Chapter 7 process. So what do you do then? What if you have more equity than the state exemption but don't want to lose your home? Well, it comes down ultimately to your decision, but I will leave you with this. If there's a few options you can look at instead, and I actually dive into all these alternatives in some of my other videos, but if you don't have time for those, you can just take our general debt options calculator that's linked below, which will just kind of break down the cost, duration, and pros and cons of bankruptcy and alternative options. Okay, finally, should you file Chapter 7 bankruptcy in Missouri? I will say this, at the end of the day, everyone's situation is unique and it's going to be up to you, but hopefully this helps. If you're feeling like you have too much equity in a home or an asset that you could lose and you're worried about it, or B, you're just not sure whether Chapter 7 is right for you, well, feel free to just take our free Chapter 7 calculator below. It'll help you estimate qualification and cost in Missouri. All right, that said, I get it. If you don't have time to fill out a calculator, or maybe you don't even want to, you're welcome just to call us at 833-272-3631. We'll try to answer all of your questions over the phone. We can help you understand the risk of losing assets, Chapter 7 qualifications, pros and cons, and even alternative options so you can make the most informed decision. I really appreciate you watching this entire video, and I really hope that you can get out of debt cheaper, easier, and faster. Take care.